My name is Jenny Geisbar. I'm the chair of the Charlotte Lesbian Gay Fund. And we are probably one of your biggest donors. And we represent a group of a giving circle of donors who give $1,000 and above and vote on grants every year. And I've been a part of this fund for 6 years, and we have been giving you grants every year. And these aren't we giving you, our stakeholders, people in our community giving you this money. I work just as hard as you. I got a 20-person board that I have built with many people. But you have to get the skill set to run a board. You need a professional fundraiser or somebody who can guide you. An event is not fundraising. Donors, cultivating relationships with people. We have never received a thank you from you at all, your organization. And that's a shame on you. I am a professional fundraiser. I do this for a living. I've done it for 15 years. So it kills me that year after year after year, I have to put my bias aside because I give money too, and it goes to you.
Jenny, can I say something?
Yeah.
I work for Judge G, by the way.
I know you do.
Member of our board. I wrote you at least 3 emails to offer to have a fundraiser, not for us, but for you here. You know
Why would you have it for us when you're not making any money for yourself?
Because it's good for the community. That's why, Jenny. That's because that's part of the community center's mission is what's good for the community. But what's bad is when you never even took the time to wrote back and say no.
Alright, so I don't know if you realize, but we have sat down with your board chair and Glenn for the last 2 months working on how we can be supportive. But you know what? We're not going to our stakeholders cannot give money to an empty hole anymore. And we are here to help in any way. If you change boards, if you figure out what you're going to do, we will help get you out of it. We want help. You need a plan. You need leadership. And I applaud you. I agree. You're going to be great. But you need a plan. And that is just not having an event. You need a really great board. You need a strategic plan. You need to bring outside help in here. And these are professionals, not someone from our community, but true professionals who are doing this day in and day out that can help you create a plan.
So we're hearing a lot about a plan. Would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, I want to reply to the fact that they want participation and they want to be a part of it and they need to apply for positions to do that. Nobody has applied for the position. We've needed a treasurer. But how long have we had a treasurer? And it was on the websites. It was noted. Not one of you came up and said, hey, I can do this. It matters to y'all in the community. We can't do it all. But y'all can complain, but none of y'all apply.
So it's our fault?
No, I'm not saying that. All you have to do, I'm not arguing with you. The bottom line is it's about coming and stepping up. It's about stepping up. You want to argue, it's been 3 town halls. Yes, he's right. But how many of you actually stepped up and said, I have 2 applications? 2 applications. And those are being, you haven't sat on it. Yeah, we need it. No. See, that's why y'all don't pay attention. We have to take care of it. We have to take care of it.
Since I'm the old guy on the block here, and I have not been around that long, but I know this for a fact. That after the incredible grassroots effort that started this amazing organization, which, by the way, has never closed its doors, it was, I don't know, Jim, you answer me, 2006, 2005, 2004, whenever it came close to going virtual, when it was at Central Avenue at its heyday, after Dan Kirsch left as ED, it almost closed. I've been on for 6 years, and I've been a part of some very talented people that would have a pedigree that's being talked about. It isn't easy. We don't have the heartstring, which is understandable, of a town out used for rent. We pay rent. It is a building with programs. We came this close to closing before I was on the board to closing. It came that close. We survived. And in the 2 of this board's, and when I say this board, since I've been involved, 2 of our priorities, and these were across 3 different chairs, was A, to go full-time again, and B, to get back in 28205, because the decision was back then to go virtual or to go to North Carolina Music Factory, which this decision was made to do that. So we have not done good things.
I was here back then, so I have a perspective, and I do think that there were some amazing people who stepped in who kept the center going at that time. There's no doubt about that. And I think it's important to recognize that when Dan left, Dan had a plan. There was a plan in place around fundraising and fundraising and getting grants. That was never followed through with the next person who was hired, and it started falling apart. And I never saw that re-engaged, right? And I don't think I've ever seen since that point a 3-year, 5-year strategic plan about what we need to do as a center. And you can get as many wonderful, people that we have together with great backgrounds, but if there's not a plan to execute as a board, then you're not going to be effective.
I have one question from the audience that was just handed, and then we'll go to you. Did the board members know that Glenn was not being paid? And if they did, well, I guess that's it. Did they know? Did y'all know?
How was it actually, the question was, how was it that you did not know? I think it was noted in the article that not all of the board members knew Glenn was not here.
Glenn hasn't paid up to date everything that was owed. We were having financial difficulties rolling in and out, and he was paid up all the time. At one point, we were short, and I asked him if he could hold off for a week or two and hold it back, cashing his check, and he volunteered to do that. He was paid then, and then he was paid up again before he went on vacation, and then he owed him a check when he got back, and then one for this pay period that just ended. And he has been paid in full. Again, yesterday we had funds come in. It's difficult when you don't get your funds at the beginning of every month. Something like we would all like to get paid on the first of the month. Sometimes you get paid on the 10th and 12th, and donations come in accordingly. So you work with us on that, and it's difficult without having, the membership being the community members, and we ask you all to become donating members and financial supporters of the community and being good standing with us to help us have a more even cash flow basis. It's very, very important to do that. Okay? I'm setting it.
Josie, Richard,
We just asked that question.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
When you ask the question again, I don't
Yes.
think that she answered the question.
absolutely. How is it possible that the board members did not know that Glenn wasn't being paid? We know that he's been paid. You've established that. They want to know, how is it that you guys didn't know he wasn't paid? Like, that's what they want to know.
I'm going to be, like I said, I'm 100% real. I did not know of it because I was assuming he was getting paid. He sent out an email, I want to say it was last week, letting all of us know the current situation. From what I know, him and Roberta had a conversation about him getting paid and getting his wages paid, a week or two later or whatever. So I was not aware of that conversation. None of us that I know of were there with Roberta and Glenn. So those were the only two that know what they worked out at that time. We were under the assumption that he was getting paid.
So just to clarify, you didn't know that he wasn't getting paid until he told you he wasn't getting paid.
Which was in an email that he sent.
Just how long ago?
I think just to follow up to this, it's the same question. Do y'all not get financial reports that say money comes in, this is going out, this is rent, this is payroll, and there should have been a discrepancy saying payroll wasn't being paid. Like that's what I think we're confused about.
Was there any time during your meetings that you reviewed financial reports and should have known in the past that Glenn was not getting paid?
That's what
Those reports that, like I said,
All reports, financial reports were given by Glenn. So when Glenn presented it, we looked it over and approved the report.
So Glenn presented misleading financial
No,
statements?
I'm saying he presented what was paid and what wasn't paid, that's it.
Glenn, did you?
When we had no funds, I spoke with Roberta, and the thing is that, I'm sorry, and maybe this is egocentric, if I wasn't here, the center wouldn't be open. And so I decided to stay on, not having my money. When I returned from Uruguay on the trip, the decision was, we got a donation, the decision was to pay for the building. And it wasn't looking as if I was going to be paid at that moment. And it hurt me because I figured we were going with the building and not with an employee. And I did let the the board know. If the board didn't know, I sometimes feel it was ostrich. They didn't want to know because it wasn't out there. I had told Roberta, and if she didn't tell the board, then that was the problem. Because honestly, they mostly didn't know. I think that the idea was I went in, and honestly, and once again, we're all going to be honest, I was told that one of the board members said I should just leave then if I'm not helping. And that also hurt me. And that, I mean, I'm sorry, for someone who I feel has dedicated a lot to this building, putting out fires, that's not the way to go.